Hi, hello, and welcome to this week's Full Body Chill stream. If you're new here, hello, I'm FEARSONA. You can call me Fear, you can call me Sona, and I'm your friendly neighborhood true crime VTuber, here to give you full body chills, here to give myself full body chills, and definitely not sleep tonight, because the stories I have for you today will definitely keep you up. And yeah, and I'm gonna have nightmares. But hi, hello. Okay, so before we begin, how are you guys doing? How is everyone? I can see a lot of my channel members, a lot of my Patreons in the chat, and some new people. I can see, wait, okay, let me just say hello to everyone. Hello to everyone. Okay, let me check the attendance. Hopeful Space P-Taco, Kronos, The John Active, IDK Bacon 53, Itachigo Gaming, Timberpen, hello, hi, welcome. Roy the Goatman. Jesus, I don't know why I messed it up, but Roy, I love your username, cause Goatman, the Goatman. I guess you like spooky stories too. Follower of the Twin Goddesses, hello. Demon Taker and Nicholas Holly and Morgan Happer, hi. David Legazzo. I'm sorry if I mispronounced something. And Brian, hi Brian. Hi, welcome. Who else? Ducky Noodles. Oh, I love that username too. I am very sleepy. Had to do algebra stuff today. Oh, that's gonna put you to sleep right away. I get the pain. I understand this so much. And DMJ is here. And Katsuya is here. Hi, hello. Wait, follower just donated. Thank you so much. Hello, Fear. I literally just got home from work, I guess. So let's make this stream great. Yes, let's make this stream great. And Vitamin Epsilon. Hello. Hi, welcome. Okay. So, without further ado, because I don't want to, break the mood, let's get into the first story. Just so you know, I will not be responding to chat messages during the story to not break the mood. If there's any donation, if there's any messages, I will try to respond to them. Super chats, I will try to respond to them after the story, in between the stories. And today I have 4 stories to read to you, and 4 spooky stories, something I found on Reddit, some unfortunate and very, very creepy stuff that will definitely not let me sleep at night in the dark alone. And because I have to do this, you guys have to suffer with me, as usual. Okay, so let me get into the first story. My husband went missing 6 months ago. Just went out to work one day and never came home. It was a horrible shock to the whole neighborhood, because things like that just didn't happen in our little slice of white picket fence suburbia. The police launched an investigation, and the neighborhood watch sent out search parties, but no one ever found any evidence to indicate what had happened to him. Our families were devastated. Recently, the missing posters have been taken down or papered over. The updates from the police became less frequent and dwindled away. I accepted that. Hard as it was to admit, my husband, Rick, he wasn't coming back. Until he did. A week ago, I was in the back garden watering my petunias when I heard the garden gate creak open. I jerked my head in that direction, and there he was. Exactly the same as he was the day he disappeared. Same blonde hair and bright blue eyes. Same curl to his pink lips. I was in shock. Our families had mourned for him. And yet, there he was, standing in our garden like he had just popped out for milk or something. When I asked where he had been, he said he didn't know. He couldn't remember anything about the last 6 months. All of our family and friends are beside themselves with joy. They almost can't believe it. But that's just the thing. I don't believe it. Look, I understand how crazy this all sounds. I do. Our families would never believe me. And I can't go to the police unless I want to end up in a straitjacket. But I just know that the man sleeping next to me isn't my husband. I don't know what to do. I know I should be happy, but I'm not. I am terrified. I don't know much about anything supernatural or paranormal. I don't even like watching horror movies. But something about this whole situation makes my skin crawl. Just let me explain why I am so sure. Once I've done that, hopefully one of you will believe me, and you will be able to tell me what to do. The morning after quote-unquote Rick came home, I made him a cup of tea. When I handed it to him, he gave me the brightest smile. Then he took a sugar cube from the dish on the table and dropped it into the cup. Our house was in chaos with his return, and I was still in shock, so I didn't think much of it at the time. But it's been replaying in my head ever since. I know it doesn't sound very significant, but my husband never put sugar in his tea. Oh yeah, that's a crime. He was always adamant that it ruined the taste. And he would get so frustrated if I ever put sugar in his cup of tea by accident. And yet, this man had sugar. Then it was the golf. A few days ago, when he was out visiting his mom, I recorded a golf tournament that was showing on the TV. It was one of Rick's favorite golfers that was competing, and he never missed it. Once, he even skipped out on an anniversary dinner just to watch a championship. Only when he came home from his parents and I told him what I had done, he just seemed unbothered. Like, he said thanks and everything, and then he asked if I wanted to get dinner. He didn't even watch it, and that's just so out of character for him. Then, one night, I woke up at around 2 a.m. to see Rick's face inches from mine, just looking at me with those blank eyes. I kind of gave this nervous laugh and asked, "Baby, what are you doing?" And he didn't answer. For like a solid 30 seconds. He just stared. Almost like he was looking right through me. Then he suddenly smiled and said, "Sorry, honey. Sometimes I just can't believe this is real." Then he just rolled over and went to sleep. I didn't get much sleep after that, myself. Yesterday, about a week after he came home, the neighborhood threw a street party to celebrate his return. Everyone from our street and the streets on the other side turned up to see him and tell him how happy they are that he's all right. When he wasn't standing with his arm around my waist, he was milling around, chatting amicably to each and every one of our neighbors, even the little kids. Jackson, our next door neighbor, Sally's toddler, wanted to play peekaboo, and Rick happily played along with a smile on his face. Now, my husband never did that. Rick always said he didn't like kids. That's why we never had any. And so he never wanted to play with any of the neighborhood children, especially not Jackson. Rick all but avoided him. Before he disappeared, I had started to suspect it was so I wouldn't see them together and notice the subtle but unmistakable similarities. The final nail to the coffin was Sally. Just this morning, she came knocking on our door. Her excuse was that the tray of brownies she carried. But I think she just wanted to push her way into our morning so that she could see for herself what the situation was. After she left, I called her a nosy busybody. Rick just laughed, kissed my head, and agreed with me. That was when I knew for sure that it couldn't really be him. Rick always used to get so mad whenever I insulted Sally. Like I didn't have any right to hate her, even though she'd been fucking my husband for years. Wait! She'd been fucking my husband for years. But today, there was none of that. He didn't even try to defend her. I know what you must be thinking. If he was in an accident or something, he might have had some kind of traumatic brain injury that caused him to forget some things about his life. Maybe even change his personality. And that's valid, reasonable explanation. I have no doubt it's what the police would tell me if I reported all of this. But you know why I'm dead certain that this man isn't my husband? He doesn't have a scar. If he was really Rick, he would have a scar on the side of his forehead shaped like a golf club I hit him with. Oh, wait a minute! But there's nothing. Not a mark. Honestly, I am this close to going out tonight and digging up my petunias just to make sure he's still under there. I don't know what I'm sharing a bed with, but I know it's not my husband. So what the hell am I going to do? Wait a minute! She murdered him, yo! Oh, God. Wait a minute. This story, either I read it on stream before, or I read it alone before, and because I remember this, or a similar story. Anyway, what the fuck? Also, hi Moonlight Dream and Peanut. I love that username, Peanut. He was dead. She murdered him because he had an affair with the Sally neighbor or something. What a twist. There is part 2 to this story, but I will encourage you guys to go to the link in the description of this video. The link to the story is there, and you can support the writer by reading the part 2 and also upvoting their posts. So there is part 2 if you want to know more. Follow the link. Oh, I've read it before. Oh, shit. Okay. I completely forgot. I was like, wow, this sounds familiar. Did I read? I think I read also like a very similar story or something. And yeah. Holy shit. Okay. There's a lot of those. Okay. So I guess I read it. I was just like, wow, this sounds kind of familiar. What? And I thought I read it alone, or I read something similar, but I guess, hey, that's why this story is catchy, and it's just so, yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good plot twist. Okay, so this story was titled, My Missing Husband Came Home, but I Just Know It Isn't Him. Damn, I guess I didn't realize that it was, yeah. I don't remember you reading this story. Maybe a similar one, because I think I've read something that was similar. I don't know. I mean, it's still a good story. It's okay if you read it before. The way you read out aloud is very mesmerizing. Ah, thank you. Even though I mess up some words, but it's okay. Okay. Reminds me of the story of the mother who killed her child and they came back. Oh yeah, that was the other one that I read. That was like very similar. Like, oh, they killed the child. And then I also read one where it's like a boyfriend who bought a Roomba and the Roomba was like haunted, but actually he, like the girlfriend said like, oh, the Roomba is trying to kill me. And the boyfriend was telling her like, oh, you're crazy, like come on, you're imagining things. But then at the end he was like mad at the Roomba that it can't do its job well, so basically like he bought an assassin Roomba or something. it was pretty insane. And yeah, he was trying to kill the girlfriend. Killer what now? Yeah, killer Roomba. Yeah, like that was one of the first stories that I read on in this series, in the Full Body Chill series, and it was pretty fun. It was pretty twisted. I was like, what the fuck is happening? And then at the end, we were all like, what the hell? A killer Roomba? Yeah, you guys, I need to find that video. I don't remember which video was it, but yeah, it was something like my girlfriend thinks that our Roomba is trying to kill her. And in the end, it was like the boyfriend that modified the Roomba, or it was like Roomba was like a killer robot, and the boyfriend was trying to get rid of the girlfriend, actually. So, yeah. I used to have a Roomba. I do have a Roomba. I don't know if I trust it anymore after that story. Okay. Plot twist. The husband was an investigator trying to catch her off guard. Oh. Yeah, those stories are trippy, I have to say. Okay. Now, time for the second story. Hopefully, I did not read this one before, but yeah. If I have, oh well. Okay. Let's go to the second story. This story is titled, I Can Freeze Time. I'm sorry, I think I've unleashed something. Ever since I was little, I could always do it. The first time I remember doing it, I think I was 3. My mom literally caught me with my hand in the cookie jar. I saw her marching up with her scary, angry mom face, and suddenly, I stopped everything. Mom stood there, still with her angry face, mid-stride, and with her mouth open terrifyingly, as she'd been right in the middle of yelling something at me. Nothing moved. There was no sound, other than the ringing in my ears. And I just knew. I'd stopped it all. I felt it. I just sort of flexed something in my mind, and time just stops. Once I was sure I was safe, I quickly scarfed down my cookie and swallowed it up, before putting on my most innocent face and letting time resume. You know I told you no! I swear, Mommy, I didn't take a cookie. I licked the crumbs from my lips as covertly as I could. Mom looked so confused for a second as she looked me over. Oh, I'm sorry, baby. I swore I saw a cookie in your hand. What are you doing near the cookie jar? I saw your hand on the lid. So I didn't completely escape that one, but I totally minimized the damage and got to eat a free cookie. That is sort of how I used it as I grew up. I learned pretty quickly that not everyone could stop the clock like I could. I also learned there are limits. When time is frozen, it's truly frozen. I can move about freely in a frozen world, but I can't move anything. People, objects, insects, in flight, all of them are frozen in exactly the same spot as before, and no amount of force I exert can move them. I learned to be careful running around outside when I ran right into a bumblebee and knocked the wind right out of myself as it completely halted my excited sprinting. Jesus. The next thing I learned was to wear thick, shoes. When grass can't be moved, it becomes a field of spikes. I'm pretty sure I could stab myself with it if I tried hard enough. With a thick pair of shoes, I could carefully cross over well-manicured lawn. The more unruly ones I stayed away from. There are exceptions. Sort of. Like the cookie. I was holding it when I first stopped time, so I was able to carry it with me and eat. My own clothes move with me too. If I had tried to grab another cookie, they would have been like statues, stuck to wherever they were. Other people's clothes are like that too, so I can't go undressing people while time is frozen, which I'm happy for in hindsight. But we will talk about that, how bad I was as a teenager in a bit. For some reason, bringing objects into frozen time doesn't apply to people I'm touching. I can bring a cookie, but another person I'm touching just freezes up like everything else. I accidentally got my hand caught in the folds of my mother's skirt once because I froze time and it held me like a vice. That's the first rule. Nothing can be moved. The second rule is, in order for time to start back up, I had to be pretty damn close to where I was when I first froze time. Otherwise, it feels like it's hard to explain. You know those video glitches on streaming services where it hiccups and stops for a few seconds, but then it rushes to catch up, and the last few seconds of footage sort of speed by. It feels like that in my brain. Like I'm desperately trying to push forward and catch up in my brain, but I literally can't until I'm back close to where I was when I started. I suppose I could also say it was like a skipping record. But I don't know how many people would get that these days. I don't have to be in the exact same position as I was at first, thankfully, just close. My mom says I had a tendency to dash away and that I was weirdly fast at times. So other people might slightly notice some odd visuals as I stop and start. But since I'm close to my original spot, it's just nothing they can't explain. I tried to show a friend once. I told him to watch an apple I was holding. I froze time and set it on the table. Then started time again. He says to him, it just looked like I had put it down really fast. So I tried again. This time, I threw the apple in the air. Once it left my hand and rose an inch, it froze like the rest of the world. My friend just saw me toss the apple in the air. So I tried one more time. I picked up the apple, froze time, and tried to set it down on the other side of the room. But then I couldn't start time again. Objects like the apple had to be close to their original position too. Thankfully, I could still pick it up. I never did find a surefire way to convince people I could freeze time. Not until I was older. Growing up with this ability, it was strange. I was a weird introvert already. And when you can stop time like a DT, you sort of develop a complex and further isolate yourself. I wasn't completely without friends, mind you. High school was hard. Puberty hit me like a freight train. Despite my parents being wonderful people who taught me about boundaries, respect, and consent, I made a conscious decision to ignore a lot of that in high school. You can think of me as an abuser, a deviant, a pervert. That's fine. I deserve it. I totally was. I consciously chose to find my way into women's spaces so I could ogle them while they were vulnerable. Locker rooms, bathrooms, my favorite was the changing rooms at the local pool. I can't open doors when time is frozen, but the showers at the pool were only covered by curtains. All I had to do was freeze time, slip in, and crawl under. And I could stare to my heart's content. No. Come on. I mean, I kind of understand, like, why, like, you take advantage of this situation. For 2 years, I acted like an idiot, but thought of myself as a god. At some point, it got old, though. For starters, porn was way less work. For another, none of it was a real relationship, which was the other thing I desperately craved. I just as soon not mention... What? Wait. Okay. I think that was the first time I saw it. One time, I got unreasonably angry at the most popular girl in school, head of the volleyball team and queen of our high school. She was pretty and she knew it. Lots of people hated her for it. She could be a little haughty at times, and I heard she could be really cruel to other girls. But looking back, I'm not sure where the vitriol came from. Okay, I'm sorry, I mess up some words. She made a harmless comment in class to something I'd suggested that wasn't really an insult, but I interpreted it as such anyway. I resolved to see her naked. In my mind, it was what she owed me for, quote-unquote, insulting me. I wanted to punish her for my own gratification. I waited till after volleyball practice was over. I waited until I heard the showers running. Then, I pulled open the door to the girls' locker room and froze time. I slipped inside and caught the half of the volleyball team in the showers. I was probably glowering like a demented little freak for a minute or two. Maybe I'd finally started to grow up, but as I stood there among my classmates, I came to a realization. They didn't look like the hot, naked women in porn. They weren't posing for the camera. They were scrubbing their armpits, and many of them looked nervous and scared to be showering publicly, even if it was among their teammates. They were a bunch of people just like me. Not only that, they were my classmates. The spell was broken. I just felt like a dirty intruder, and that was suddenly a lot less exciting for me. I turned to leave, hoping to pretend this never happened, and that's when I saw a shadow on the wall. To this day, I have no clue whose shadow was it. It was frozen on the wall, like everyone else's, but I was transfixed by it. Who was casting this shadow? Why did it look so alien? I was utterly unnerved, so I hustled out of the showers, unfroze time, and ran home, scared, and feeling very, very dirty, and I should. Somehow, I shook off my terrible teens and became a more respectful person. Trust me, perverts out there. Women are so much more beautiful and sexy when they share themselves with you willingly. Yeah, because you formed a connection with them. Yeah, just don't freeze time and don't ogle naked women or naked people. Just don't do that. Just don't be a creep. That's from me. I grew up. I got a job. I have a fiance now. It's been 10 years since I used my time freezing ability for anything nefarious. I'm ashamed of the choices I made then. I still use the power from time to time. It's pretty handy at the few jobs I've had. It's also great for introverted nerds like me. If I need to get away, I can just freeze everything and go sit and stare at the sky for a few hours. In complete silence. My fiancé believes that I can freeze time now. And here's how. We devised a test we could do. She wrote things onto a post-it note and placed it face down on a glass table while keeping her eyes on me sitting across the room. She would tell me that she was ready and I would freeze time, crawl under the table, and read what she wrote, before returning to my seat, unfreezing time, and reciting what she had written. She tried to talk me into other experiments, but I declined, and she respected that. I just wanted to live my life, so we did. That brings us to now. Something has changed. About a month ago, I froze time in the middle of getting yelled at by my boss. I spent some time telling him where he could shove his citations and screaming obscenities before wandering the office for a time. I grinned when I saw I'd frozen a coworker in the midst of playing a game of solitaire when he was supposed to be working. I stopped to look out the window, staring at the frozen world outside, wrestling my anger under control, and preparing to return to my boss to let him finish his tirade. I walked past my solitaire playing friend, and when I glanced at his computer screen, I noticed something off. It was turned off. At the time, I kind of just assumed I'd mixed up coworkers, so I sort of ignored it. When I got back to the boss's office, I swore his coffee mug was turned in a different direction. When I'd frozen time before, I could read the writing on his coffee mug. No one cares, work harder. Yeah, he's kind of a jerk. Now, from that same position, all I saw was the black of the other side. This guy always keeps his mug face out to remind his underpaid underlings that they should be doing more for him. And also, I freaking saw the writing when I first froze this moment. Why couldn't I see it now? I couldn't move the cup or anything, so what else could I do? I resumed time and let the idiot keep yelling at me. He made sure to turn his cup to tell me to work harder as I left the office. Out of curiosity, I checked in with my solitaire friend. His computer had crashed. Poor guy lost a really important report he was working on. He had to redo it. Not sure why he was playing solitaire. I convinced myself nothing was wrong. That I had just made mistakes. Someone else was playing solitaire. And I just imagined I'd seen the words on the boss's coffee cup. But things like that have been happening more frequently. Small things I could easily miss. Every time I freeze time now, I'll notice something. At home, my toothbrush will move. Or a book will be askew on the shelf. I was driving myself nuts with it. I kept trying to convince myself I was just being paranoid. Nothing can move when the time is frozen. Nothing but me. But last week, something happened that's never happened before. I froze time so I could wander around outside. The frozen town proper is just sort of fascinating. I was strolling along, and all of a sudden, there it was. A noise. A freaking noise. There was never any noise before. Even my own feet made no sound as I walked about with frozen time. but I heard it clear as day. A thump. It echoed out of some alley. I've never been so scared in my life. Time was frozen. I'd wandered through the statues of frozen people going about their day, thousands of times. It had always been my space, my sanctuary. But now, something else was here, making sounds. How could anything make a sound if time was frozen? I ran. I bruised myself on a floating mosquito as I weaved through the frozen crowds. I'd never been afraid of the frozen people before, because I knew they couldn't do anything. But now, any one of them could have made the noise. Maybe some were only pretending they were frozen. Who made that damn sound? Finally, I made it back to my original spot. I stood there panting, trying to start time back up, so I wouldn't feel so alone. But for a brief moment, I couldn't move it. I glanced around, with a sense of growing dread. That's when I saw something else move around the frozen cityscape. It was only a shadow. Just a flicker of some dark shape. It wasn't human. Its limbs were long. Its head almost looked like an egg. And there were white, empty half circles where eyes ought to be. Just wide voids. It was the same shadow from the wall of the showers all those years ago. Somehow I knew it. It wasn't frozen this time. Our eyes met. Then everything started moving and the shadow vanished. I started screaming right in the middle of the sidewalk. I refused to freeze time again. I hope that whatever that thing was, I left it trapped in that frozen moment. But who the hell knows? If I freeze time again, maybe it will be in the next frozen moment waiting for me. I don't think it's safe there anymore. My sanctuary is gone. But it can't reach me here, right? Well, I'm not so sure. My fiancé is now convinced our house is haunted. She says she keeps seeing a shadow man staring at her. Her possessions keep moving. Toiletries, knickknacks, some of her clothes. I tried to tell myself it wasn't the egghead. She thought it was a stalker at first. I rolled with that and started watching out for other clues. But then she saw the white eyes. She literally shrieked when it happened. She said she saw them at the foot of our bed. It happened again the next morning. We spent the day distracting ourselves. Then the evening brainstorming ideas. Eventually she left to take a shower while I looked for shadow figures online. Minutes after I heard the water shut off, I heard her scream. I froze time and ran to her. By some miracle, she hadn't closed the door as she dressed herself after her shower, so I was able to run right into the room. There she was. She had dropped her towel and was recoiling in terror. She stood there frozen, reeling away, about to fall backwards. I followed her gaze. There was the egghead shadow. It wasn't a shadow anymore. It stood there, in the room. A living, shadowy mass in a horrifically humanoid shape. Then it turned and looked at me with its empty wide voids. It wasn't frozen. The next thing I knew, I couldn't move. I was as frozen as my fiancé, but I was still aware. I could only watch helplessly as its shadowy limbs shuddered to life, and it skulked towards her. It walked behind her, out of my sight. I heard it rummaging around. A minute later, I could move again. Time was still frozen. I scoured to the house for that thing, but I could find no trace. What the hell had it done? I returned to the bathroom and stared helplessly at my fiancé. She was going to fall. She had slipped when she saw that thing. I moved towards where I saw the egghead, and that's where I found the pair of scissors. They sat right where the woman I loved was going to land. I tried to move them, but of course I couldn't. I tried moving her, but I couldn't do that either. I spent hours just trying to do something to this frozen moment, so my fiancé wouldn't lose her life the second I started things up. I even tried taking off my shirt to put between her and the blade to minimize the damage. But I couldn't start time back up without my shirt. I felt so utterly helpless. With nothing else to do, I went back downstairs to restart time and sprinted up to the bathroom to aid my terrified fiancé. I already had emergency services on the way. I found her crying on the ground in an alarmingly large puddle of blood. She had impaled her wrist on the scissors. She's in recovery now. I acted fast enough that they managed to save her. They closed the artery, and she's receiving donor blood. That thing put the scissors there. I know it. It tried to kill her. It's been 3 days since then. In that time, 3 different people have died mysteriously in our town. Bizarre accidents. 1 in a million chances that people could die in such bizarre ways, but so far, we've had 3. An older woman stumbled in such a way that she fell forward and the pens from a pencil cup went into her eye, straight through her brain. A man stepped out of his pool and tripped over a misplaced pool float and landed on his fuse box in such a way that he'd been electrocuted. Apparently, it needed servicing that nobody knew about. And then a teenage boy on a skateboard. He was thrown into the street with his board smacked into a toy on the sidewalk that nobody could identify. He'd been hit by a car. This all happened in the last 2 days. Maybe it's all just a coincidence, but I don't think so. I'm not sure what this thing is or where it came from, but it does have control over time. More than I do. And it seems to enjoy killing. I worry that I'm the one who called it here somehow. As far as I know, it's still out there. I'm going after it. I have to try and stop it. It might come back for the woman I love. It's more powerful than me. But maybe I just haven't figured out all I can do. I'm sorry, Delilah. I hope I will be back soon. Okay, so this was the story. That last one was just an isekai. So this is the story. That's actually part 1 of this story. So if you guys want to hear part 2 or want to read part 2, please do go to the link in the description to the story and to the writer's website. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Also, wait. Okay. No, I thought I saw something, but I didn't. Never mind. I'm going to call it the Crooked Man. Was it the Crooked Man? Yeah, that other person is a veteran. I feel like this could be a premise to a movie. It could be a premise to a movie, although you guys remember I read this one story that was very similar. It was that someone could slow down time, and then like I think their time. Yeah, I think. Oh no, wait, not slow down time. I think they were moving fast. So basically, I think that's it, right? Like I was reading this story in another episode, and this story was that this person was a part of some kind of medical study or experiment. They agreed to it, and then they were the ones that were moving fast. So everything else was, their brain was moving fast, I guess. Like their thinking was moving fast, like way faster than the whole world. And at one point, like they would see everyone like slow down. And then eventually at the very end, like even their body was like too slow for their brain, for how they were perceiving time or how they were perceiving speed, I guess. And it was so bad. I think it was like, oh, if you see a man on the floor, like on the platform, just shoot me or something, like shoot him. And they were like, even the pain that they felt, like, oh, they kind of fell over and broke their leg or something. Like they were saying, like in that story, it was like, yeah, the pain for me lasted years. Like that's how my brain was, like how fast my brain was going, but then my body and the pain that I was feeling, like it was stretched in time. Yeah, the other one was also good. So this one was good. This one was, I can freeze time. I'm sorry, I think I've unleashed something. And yeah, like the other one, I don't remember. I think it was like, yeah, like, oh, if you see a man on the platform, of the train, like platform, just shoot me or something. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that was pretty sad, but it was also a very, very interesting concept. I did like the story, so I think I might have titled the video after it. I would have to look for it, but yeah. But if you guys find it in my Full Body Chills videos, I very much recommend it. It's a very good story. Good writing. Okay, I have to take a sip of my water because my throat is on fire. Oh yeah, and they wanted someone in Grand Central to shoot him. Yeah. Because they were like suffering so bad, with every like, oh, they tripped and they broke their leg or something, like, oh, they were in constant pain and everything just felt weird. Like very, very painful. So they would feel pain for like, for them, time was passing so slow that they would feel the pain for like years. Summertime rendering. Oh god. Okay. Time travel in general never works out. Don't mess with the flow. Yeah, I would, if I could choose, I would probably just choose to like teleport, the power to teleport, or the power to read minds, even though that would bite me in the ass, because yeah, I would know all the things that people think about me. Obviously, like, oh, the power to read minds, but not, obviously not through like here, like I couldn't read your minds. I would have to see you to read your minds, but or I mean, or you'll never know. Maybe I do read minds. Okay. Gustavo, hi. Hello, welcome to the stream. Dude should have never eaten that cookie. Yeah, it should have never. Not sure a scary story before my night shift was a great idea, but that was fun. Got to go now. See you, everyone. Game leader, good luck. Good luck. Thank you for listening to the scary stories. Good luck with your night shift. If I had one complaint about this story, the whole using freezing time powers to see naked girls really wasn't needed in the end. It didn't connect to the rest of it, really. Yeah, like that could have, I guess it was like, yeah, you could have skipped that. Like, oh, they could have said like, oh, yeah, I was a prick in high school. I used it for, like a kid. And then just skip to, okay, but I've kind of recovered from that and I became a responsible adult. So that part was not really needed. But I guess, oh, the first time they saw the shadow was like in that shower room or something. So they could have placed it somewhere else, but I don't know. Wait, Sona can read minds? Read my mind! Bacon. I don't know, you're thinking about bacon. No, I'm kidding. I can't read minds. If I could, I would probably... It's more like, if this ability was, exists, it's definitely like, oh, you have to see someone's face. You have to actually, like, look at them to read their minds. Like, that just makes more sense. Like, even scientifically, it would be like maybe like you know, dolphins have echolocation or something. Like, oh, you have to have a sensor and it has to be in like proximity. I don't know how that works, but yeah. Well, let's establish that mind reading is not real, but you know, it's she knows. Dang, she's good. Sona did guess correctly how I look like, so she could read minds. Also, I guess correctly how where Eduardo is from. I just guessed like randomly. I just guessed, oh, New York. Like one of the users here. I was just like, oh yeah, you're. I don't know where you're from. I was thinking like maybe New York, maybe, you know, that kind of area. And they're like, how did you know? Magic. Holy shit! How did she know? Gotta love the character development though. Him realizing he was a creep and genuinely a garbage person, and then grew up sure he was just a kid, but he realized something important. Oh, and got spooked. Yeah, I think when he got scared of that shadow, he was just like, okay, that's it. That's it. I'm never gonna do this ever again. Okay. Wait, Nicholas says, yeah, I actually thought at the part where the creature showed up in the shower, I was going to go one step further to his fiance, showing the beast he could have become. Oh, Fear can read minds, someone's mind. Just cat and dancing and fire and yeah, and cat Batsona. That's it. Don't look into her eyes. Look into my eyes. I know what you're thinking. I know everything. Cat Batsona doesn't need superpowers. Yeah, I'm too cool for that. And my coolness is my superpower. I think it's all about body reading as well as using understanding the context of what they may be thinking. Ha! See? I read IDK Bacon's mind. I don't need to know the body language. I am, you know, so nice and slowly gaining powers. I am becoming more powerful. My favorite line is, I am more powerful than I thought. That's it. Okay. Okay. Now time for the third story. And this story is titled, I found a disturbing yoga stream. If I stop watching, I can't save her. She called it Yoga for One. I found her stream a month ago, during a rare confluence of self-disdain and spare time that collided into something resembling motivation. Tucked between the kickboxing classes and the home gym meatheads was her thumbnail. It caught my eye. It was a simple shot of her face, so near to the camera that I could count her freckles. Her teeth a little too large for her mouth, and her nose ever so slightly crooked. I've never been the type of guy to consider yoga, but I tuned in, and in a matter of seconds, I was entranced. The girl was in her living room, a haphazard scene. The floor speckled with sad little plants and stacks of magazines. She posed with her hands on the floor and her hips thrust in the air. Her butt perched in the center of the screen. I decided to stay a while. Wonder why? But I would probably stay too. I had no yoga mat, so I laid out a towel. It was difficult to follow along. She talked a lot, and only a fraction of it was about the routine. Press your heels together and bend your head to your feet, breathing deeply. My feet smell like peaches and cream today. Makes me want to gobble them up. I love summer peaches. I love biting into them and feeling the juice erupt in my mouth. It reminds me of the time when I fell into the meditative woven by her words. Inhaling the scent of my own socks, failing to notice she'd moved into a different pose. After a while, my muscles trembled with the effort of supporting my soft body in these unfamiliar positions, so I called it a day. It was then that I noticed Subscribers, 1. That was me. I was the only one watching. I felt an inexplicable flood of guilt when I closed the browser. Like I was abandoning her. See, you guys, see? Just remember this. Remember this sentence, you know? When you have to go, when you think, oh, I'm gonna close the browser when Sona is streaming. Think twice. You're abandoning me. No, I'm kidding. It's okay. Is it though? Okay. I checked back into her channel the next few afternoons. It was the strangest thing. She was always streaming. She was either unaware of my presence or apathetic to it. Her ramblings so freewheeling that they approached random word association. Didn't seem to change whether I was there or not. She was often mid-sentence when I logged in. She was flirty in a way that made it clear she wasn't trying to be. Charmingly raw in her tendency to fumble instructions. Curiosity overwhelmed me. I yearned to discover more about this fascinating creature. Her movements drew me in, like she was grasping at me through the screen. I marveled at the feeling of being her silent voyeur. I developed more comfort with the basic poses, though I still couldn't get my hands anywhere near my toes. Too soon, she notched up and the level of difficulty. She eased herself into the splits, each leg outstretched, her toes pointed at perfect right angles. I tried my best to replicate the pose, my groin protesting the pressure. Each day, she pushed a little farther. She curved her spine sharply behind her, a graceful arc. She lifted her back leg high into the air at an angle that seemed to wrench her hip out of place. I forced my body into the closest approximations of her geometry that my tendons would allow. My teeth gritted against the sharp warnings issued by my nerves. At night, I dreamed that she was breaking my joints. What the fuck are you dreaming about? Okay. At night, I dreamed that she was breaking my joints, cracking my limbs into the clean shapes that she maintained so effortlessly. What a nightmare. Yeah, I have the same feeling about yoga. Push it to the limits. No. Yeah, when I try to do yoga, I'm pretty sure like I look like that cat, the cat emote. I'm just like, ah! Okay. Little intermission. One day, she twisted her arms so far behind her that I felt sympathetic pain. She folded herself up so that her bent legs swooped around her shoulders, touching her toes behind her neck. She smiled at the camera. Demurely, politely. "You want to see me bent into a pretzel, don't you?" she asked. That was the first time she addressed me. I would forget to eat. I'd wake up on the couch, having dozed off, and she would be murmuring about pomegranates while her forehead brushed her knees. Did she sleep? Did she eat? I saw no evidence of it. Every time I moved, my body ached with the memory of being stretched to its limits. I was spending 10, 12, 14 hours a day on her stream. She spoke to me frequently. "I know you've been watching me. I think you like watching me. How far do you want me to twist for you?" The fluid shifting of her body into verticals and curves and delicate polygons was hypnotizing. I was getting lost in the light of a flickering flame as it swirled into different patterns. I was working myself into something more pliable, molding myself into something like her image. It's difficult to pinpoint the moment she went too far. It was more like the creep of quicksand than any one single point. She would lie on her back, and lift herself on her palms and soles of her feet, her torso thrusting at the ceiling like she was something from The Exorcist. She would inch her hands and feet closer together, folding her body backwards on itself until she was nearly split in half. And then she would skitter forward until the whites of her eyes flooded the screen, scaring me so much that I jumped. And she would laugh, as if she had made a joke. She would twist her head around like an owl and thrust it between her thighs, always blinking at the screen, always smiling, like we were sharing some inside secret, like I was in on the sly conspiracy. She said, "You like this, don't you, Mr. Smith? Am I your foldable pocket toy?" Smith is a very common last name. There was a chance she just guessed it correctly. But this freaked me out enough to slam the laptop shut, shattering the image of her toothy smile. I tried to resume normal life, but I had almost nothing to fill my time except television and social media and filling out applications for a job I'd never want to work. A strange sensation tickled at me. Like something was wrong. Like I was forgetting something. And powerful waves of guilt. The same guilt I had felt when I closed her stream the first day I found her. I tried not to. I really, really tried to stay away. But the urge overwhelmed me, so I returned. For the first time, she wasn't on screen when I logged in. I peered closer at the scene, seeing the familiar yoga mat on the ground, the coffee table, the magazines. There was a soft noise coming from just off screen, a muffled noise, irregular halting, a human voice. I turned the volume all the way up, and I couldn't tell if it was laughter or crying. Feeling sick, I closed the stream. This brings us to yesterday. I had spent countless hours thinking about her, wondering what she was doing, whether she was still telling stories to her invisible visitor. So I logged in. Her eyes filled the webcam's field of vision, so suddenly that I scrambled backwards. And that sound, echoing around the walls of her apartment and mine. And it was now clear that it was a sound of misery. Her moan was wordless. And as her face backed away, I could see why. Her bare foot was stuffed halfway in her mouth, her jaw nearly unhinged to accommodate it, the ball wedged between her teeth. Tears were streaming down her face, pulling around the corners of her stretched lips. Her arms were folded behind her head, and her other leg was tucked behind under the first. She was struggling, and I realized that she was stuck. She was trapped in that position, a twisted ball of limbs and strained joints, unable to speak. I stared slack-jawed at the screen, and her eyes met mine, seeming to blink in recognition. The force of her sobs echoed. In relief, I wasn't sure. I had no idea what to do. I didn't know her name or where she lived. I didn't even know for sure that she was in the same country. I sat frozen for long moments, watching the twitching of her limbs as she tried to wrench herself out of the cage of her body. Then it struck me. I could type. "Can you type your address?" The message pinged its arrival at her computer. Our first real conversation. She shook her head almost immediately. with the slight range of motion her position allowed. I tried again. Can you type with your nose? Her eyes flickered across the page as she read my words. With great effort, she rocked herself over, landing face first on the keyboard. And then she typed. My heart pounding. I said, try again. I watched as she managed to prop herself on one shoulder. Her body was convulsing with the force of her sobs. Eventually, she leaned forward, carefully, delicately, and pressed the tip of her nose to the keys. 3. Yes, that was it. That's great. Give me another number. We traded for long, suspenseful minutes. Her giving me one number or letter at a time. Me writing them down and encouraging her as best as I could. You're doing great. I'm here with you. Help is on the way. She had cobbled together a number and a street. It had taken us nearly an hour to get to this point. She had just finished typing apartment 12 when she stopped, trembling with the effort of keeping herself upright. And we met eyes again through the camera, hers shining with pain and fear. And then she collapsed. She rolled out of sight, panicking. I sent her dozens of frantic messages. What city? What state? What state? Stay with me. I'm here. Where are you? I need more. It became clear that no more was coming. Her sobs stilled. Her breath quieted. I searched the address and found every city in the country where the address she'd given me existed. I called every police station in every jurisdiction within range. It took a lot of explanation, but after hours of work, there was nothing I could do but sit and wait nervously by the phone and stare at the empty apartment framed with my laptop screen. All I could do was type. Hey, I'm here with you. You'll be safe. This will be over soon. You're not alone. The ringing of the phone nearly sent me out of my skin. It was 1 a.m. Did you find her? I asked desperately, scanning the scene for any sign of activity. Tell me she's all right. The voice on the other end of the line released a sigh, a deep sigh, of sadness and frustration I couldn't say. We found her, he said, his words gentle but guarded. Stuck in that position, as you described. She's not okay. She died of dehydration. What? No, that's not possible. I just spoke to her. I don't know what you saw. I truly don't, but the girl we found has been dead for a month. And that's the end of this part of the story. There is a second part, so you can find it in the description. Yeah, she's dead. But you guys, if you want to read some more stories from this author, Relicular, on Reddit, you can follow the link, and I have more links that you can go to their account, and they have more stories. She was dead for a month already, so yeah. Why? I'm gonna have nightmares. Why am I streaming again? Wait. Oh, what if I'm dead by now? You guys haven't thought about it? No, I'm kidding. I'm not dead. No. I'm very much alive and scared to go to sleep. So was her soul stuck in the live stream? Oh, possibly. See you guys, don't leave me. Don't leave me here alone. Don't you dare. You have to stay with me. Come on. What if it's a curse and like whenever I'm streaming, if you leave the stream when I'm streaming and I'm not done yet, what if there's a curse and something's gonna happen to me? Come on, you guys can't leave me like that. Don't leave. Stay Stinky Tofu got her dehydrated. Oh my god. Yeah, that's exactly how it was during my donathon. Stinky Tofu. We are watching Sona's ghost. I learned I don't like contortion from this story. Yeah, I got nowhere else to go anyway. Yeah, see? Stay with me. I'll be fine. Hey, I'll be fine as long as you guys are here during my streams. And then when I stop streaming, that means I'm okay too. I just, you know, after my final bye-bye to you, after stay safe out there and until the next time, I'm safe. Okay, so, you know, you guys need to remember to be here at the beginning, towards, all throughout to the end. F in the chat for Sona. I'm terrified. Yeah, don't leave me. See my cute voice? I can do a cute voice. Don't leave me. Okay. Sona, I'm giving you money. I didn't abandon you. I know, DJ. You guys didn't abandon me. I appreciate it. And also the fact that you tune into Patreon streams, which, by the way, we have a true crime stream coming tomorrow on Patreon. So if you want to be there, be there. Everyone's just like, we are trapped. Convenient. Okay, so can you give it a cute anime voice? I don't know if I can do a cute anime voice. I know I can say, you know, the word turtle. I can say it in a cute way. Turtle. Turtle. That's it. I can make my voice cute. Kawaii, yeah. Kawaii-chan. I'm just trying to vibe, Sona. Why? Well, it is what it is. Oh, King of Heroes. Wait. King of Heroes King. Thank you so much for, wait, is that a donation? I'm not sure. Is it a super thanks? Huh. Anyway, thank you so much for the generous donation. I will be there, Sona. Yeah. Be there. Be there. It's another unsolved case. Be there or be square. Fear doesn't want us to leave that she turned into... Fear doesn't want us to leave so much that she turns into cute Sona. Yeah. See? I can be cute. What if Chad is the one who is dead? What? Well, that's why I'm, you know, when I stream, I communicate with you guys. No, you guys have to be safe. You guys have to be alive. Come on, be safe. If you want to be safe, lock your doors and lock your windows. God damn it. Don't ever leave your windows or doors unlocked. Surprisingly, that's a legit, you know, concern, because some people do that. Some people do that in Japan. Some of my friends did that in Japan. And I'm like, why? Why would you do this to yourself? Why? Do you think crimes don't happen in Japan? Obviously, of course they happen. I have a couple of stories from Japan. Well, I mean, true crime cases from Japan. Oh, okay. So that was a super chat. Thank you so much, King. But yeah, you know, a couple of unsolved cases from Japan. And yeah, doors were unlocked or some other shit. Don't do that. I'm dead? I had no idea. Hey, it wouldn't be so bad. See, you guys can talk to me. No matter who in this relationship is dead. I mean, hopefully no one. Hopefully we are all alive. I'm dead? That's crazy. Then is this afterlife? Hey, that's not too bad, huh? Plot twist. What happens if someone is cold out? If it's cold outside? What? When it's cold outside? Well, I mean, yeah, no. In regards to what? Opening the doors? No, just like keep them locked. But I always leave my window slightly open, but my front door locked. But for the night, I don't know, just close the windows. Come on. I'm sorry. I just know some cases or have read and covered cases where the window was the reason why someone, you know, there was a crime committed in a house. So, you know, just stay safe. Just be safe. That's why or just get, you know, like 2 or 4 Dobermans or Rottweilers and you're good. And if someone breaks in, they will, you know, their last scream is gonna be their last ever words. The burglars or potential killers. I'm dead. Da da da. I'm dead. Da ba dee da ba da. Okay. Why did no one tell me I'm a ghost? We're all ghosts here. We're ghosts of the internet. Okay. Now it's time for the last story. So this story is titled, Dad Shut Himself Inside His Bunker at the Start of the Pandemic. 3 months ago, we lost contact with him. Dad shut himself inside his bunker at the beginning of 2020. He said the world was about to end, and when we didn't believe him, he told us to wake up. It was raining that day. I remember focusing on the water hitting the window panes while my sister tried to change Dad's mind. I knew it was no use. He was too stubborn to listen to anyone except maybe Donald Trump. WHO had just declared that COVID-19 had pushed the world into a pandemic. Dad wanted us to join him, and when we told him no, he called us brainwashed. He purchased the land before I was born, only because of the military facility that came with it. It was abandoned sometime in the 1960s, I think. My sister was there from the beginning, even before Dad's obsession pushed Mom away. It's hard for me to imagine what he was like back then. Mom says he was a gentleman, but they married young, and a person can change a lot during those years. And so, Dad did change. All I remember from him during childhood are the weekends at the bunker, constantly renovating it and stockpiling it with everything he would need to survive down there. I couldn't stop him. He wasn't the best dad, not even a good one. But it was sad to see him go all the same. He was excited, even though he thought that civilization was about to collapse. I guess that happens when you've spent your entire adult life preparing. We had to set up an old radio to keep in touch with him. He didn't trust mobile phones. We didn't hear from him often, just once a month. Sometime less. The last time he radioed in, he said he had found a hidden door. He was going to see where it went. That was 3 months ago. You think he's okay? My sister said. He wasn't in great health. I told him. We sat in the car, on our way to check up on him, driving through the heat wave. His radio might have broken down, I said. Let's just not assume the worst. But I felt worried too. There was something strange about that hidden door, and his tone when he mentioned it. It didn't sit right with me. But maybe it was just the heat and the endless desert around us that played tricks on my mind. I couldn't really tell. It was dark when we arrived. Dad's truck stood where he had left it, beneath some tarp that blew in the chilly, sand-carrying wind. We turned on our flashlights and walked to the cliff above the bunker. The steel door was made to withstand a nuclear blast. Luckily, I owned the only spare key in existence. Before I used it, I banged the door as hard as I could and yelled for Dad. I worried he would mistake us for intruders and shoot us. If he was confused, and if it was dark, this was a real possibility. I banged again and yelled at the top of my lungs. Dad, are you there? It's me, Josh. Evelyn is here as well. I don't think he can hear you, Evelyn said. I nodded. Dad, I'm going to open the door now. I was 17 the last time I was here. Back then, it was the Muslims that were going to end civilization as we knew it. Before that, it was the Russians. Now it was China. There was always something threatening his beloved freedom, and yet he was never truly free. My sister put her hand on my wrist just as I was about to unlock the door. You know, she said, maybe we should just call the authorities after all and... No, I said. He'll just fight them. I unlocked the heavy door. A rancid smell escaped the darkness inside. It was the odor of death. I recognized it from when Dad tried and ultimately failed to learn how to hunt and let a reindeer carcass rot on the property for weeks. My sister had already stopped visiting him by then. I didn't tell her what the smell reminded me of. She covered her nose with her shirt. We descended the spiral stairs. It creaked for each step we took, almost as if it was about to fall apart. I tried the light switch at the bottom. The click echoed through the long corridor leading to the living area. But nothing happened. I realized that the batteries, which he charged by the use of an old exercise bike, were dead. That meant he was most likely dead as well. The generator could be broken, I said. But maybe you should wait back here, just in case, you know. I pointed my flashlight in front of me. The light was too weak to reach the end of the corridor. On the way here, I had felt ready. I felt sad, the kind of empty sadness you feel after the death of a parent that was never any good, but I didn't feel worried. Now, on the other hand, while staring into the dark corridor that I used to run through as a kid, I was afraid. The fear reminded me of how my childhood night terrors used to start. They always crept up on me in the darkness, grew with the grotesque shadows on my bedroom ceiling. I'm not letting you go in there alone, Evelyn said. We stay together. So we walked into the darkness. The foul smell intensified for every step we took. And so did my heartbeat. I was glad my sister didn't stay behind. The bunker seemed so much smaller than what I remembered. Much more cramped. The asymmetry between my memories and reality made everything feel off somehow. Just as if the bunker was merely a model of the real thing. But it wasn't. I had just grown up. The Confederate flag greeted us at the end of the corridor. It hung on the concrete wall. It looked pale in the hot spot of the flashlight, almost like a phantom. And of course, in many ways it was. A ghost from a time long ago. Or perhaps a corpse brought back to life, an abomination. It reminded me of Dad more than anything else. You have to be seriously confused to praise freedom as much as Dad and hang that symbol of lesser freedom in the world on your wall, Evelyn said. Listen, he wanted to protect his freedom so much that he built a prison for himself. I removed the light from the flag, leaving only darkness. You bet he was confused. We entered the main chamber. It was overfilled with litter and clutter. Empty cans. Both the food and beer kinds. Lay scattered across the sticky floor. We had to take large steps not to step on any of the trash. That's weird. Evelyn pointed her flashlight at the small dining table. Look. My hair stood up on my neck before I even realized what she meant. The table was set for 3 people. I didn't say anything for a moment, trying to process what I was seeing. And just when I was about to speak, my sister interrupted me. Who the fuck was here with him? We don't know, I began. I mean, He might have left the old plates on the table, and a sound of something falling to the ground came from one of the other rooms further into the bunker. I pointed my light in its direction, but couldn't see what made it. "Dad!" I yelled. "It's me, Josh. You there?" No response. "I'm afraid," Evelyn whispered. "Something isn't right." I only vaguely heard what she said. My focus was on something else. Something on the wall on the other end of the room. That's not supposed to be there. I slowly walked towards it. That must have been what he talked about over the radio. Dad had hacked away a layer of concrete. Yes, a layer of concrete. That's an interesting lawyer. Dad had hacked away a layer of concrete for whatever reason and uncovered a rusty metal door behind it. It stood ajar. A lukewarm, musty breeze came out of it. My sister walked up to me as I carefully pried the door open with the back of my flashlight. I felt my heart in my throat. I could hear my sister begging for us to leave, almost in tears. But I needed to know what was behind that door. It was imperative to understand what had happened here. I needed to know. I needed closure. What in heaven's name? Evelyn looked over my shoulder. Why is this here? Behind the door was a room about the size of a broom cupboard. It was unremarkable except for a circular hole in the middle of the floor. I shone my light into it, but I couldn't see the bottom. Just as I thought it was big enough for a person, my sister said. Do you think he fell? Drops of sweat from my forehead fell down the pit. I felt dizzy and stepped back, afraid I would fall inside. My sister picked up a can filled with some rotten beans and threw it down the hole. It clattered against the walls as it bounced from one side to the other. The sound faded away until we couldn't hear it anymore. There was no indication it touched down at the bottom. I stretched out my hand and held it above the opening. It's warm, I said. The air, I mean. Maybe he fell. Evelyn stepped back, almost as if she were convinced. Can we please get out of here? She reached for my arm. We can return with the police. Please, Josh? It wasn't dark when Dad found this, I said. He would have seen the hole. Josh, please. Just give me a moment to think. I walked towards the hallway that led to the other rooms, desperately hoping to find him. For some reason, it was important for me to see him, to be able to leave without wondering. I needed to know that he was truly dead. I stopped myself after I accidentally pointed the flashlight on the floor in the middle of the hallway, revealing a pair of feet. I think I found him. I ran up to the body. Wait! Evelyn yelled and reluctantly followed me to avoid being left alone. But this wasn't Dad. I screamed upon realization. My mind couldn't comprehend what I had just seen. I spun around and tried to run away, completely acting on instinct, and crashed into my sister. She grabbed me, kept me still, and she looked behind me, down at the dead body on the floor. She began to cry while her hands trembled uncontrollably against my shoulders. Oh my God, she said. How is this possible? It's you! Let's get the fuck out of here, I said. Move! There was nothing that could explain this. And the more my mind tried to, moving in an endless loop doing so, the dread grew inside me. I only got a glimpse of the body before I panicked, But my sister was right. The half-rotten face was the same as mine, with a bullet hole in the middle of the forehead. Holy shit. We stumbled our way through the living area, tipping over chairs and kicking cans all over the place. And just as we were about to get out of the mess, a familiar voice echoed through the hallway we had just escaped. Josh. It was Dad. We both stopped in our tracks. Is that you, Josh? Dad? I yelled back. What the fuck is going on here? Don't worry. It sounded like he was at the other end of the bunker, possibly inside the storeroom. I killed the son of a bitch, put a bullet right between his eyes. Come out from there, I yelled. We have to leave. It's not safe here. Silence. Something is wrong, Evelyn said. I don't think... Dad! I yelled. Come out! I can't move, Dad said. I'm stuck under a shelf. I'll need your help, son. I turned to my sister. Go back up. I'll get that old bastard out of there. We'll be right behind you, okay? Think, Josh, Evelyn begged. You think he's been stuck under a shelf for... I should have listened. But even after what we had just seen, I just couldn't bring myself to even consider something as outlandish as what my sister was suggesting. It was simply too far-fetched, too unbelievable to penetrate all my layers of presumptions about reality. It couldn't be. It just couldn't. Hence, I ran back to the hallway, yelling for my sister to get back up to the surface and wait for us there. I'm coming, Dad. I only slowed down to carefully step over the corpse that bore my face. Perhaps, I thought, it was just a coincidence. A burglar that just happened to look like me. After all, the face had begun to rot. It wasn't obviously me. I felt stupid, and I almost convinced myself that it was just my childhood fear of the dark coming back to life down here. And then, just as I was about to walk past the small composting toilet that stood inside a small room at the end of the hallway, I stopped. Shivers spread across my entire body, paralyzing me. Dad was sitting on the toilet. His gun still hung from his trigger finger, and his brain was splattered across the wall behind him. He had his journal in his lap, covered in blood. Josh! Dad yelled from the darkness. Help me! I was frozen in place, both by fear and confusion, unable to make any decisions. Come on, Josh! Dad kept yelling. I need your help, son. My mind was racing. There was no way of knowing who was who. When I heard Dad's voice yelling for help while watching his dead body, nothing but absolute terror reverberated inside me. I slowly reached for the journal in Dad's lap and grabbed it, hoping it would shed some light on the situation. I was just about to open it when my sister screamed. I ran back, this time jumping over my doppelganger's body, and found her looking at something at the corner of the main chamber. I told you to, I said, but changed my mind. Are you okay? What happened? She cried. It's me. Crawled up in the corner was her naked, dead body. Her head had been twisted in such a way that the neck had been broken. There's something seriously wicked going on here, I said. Dad shot himself in the head a long time ago, but by the looks of it, and yet he keeps yelling for help. Let's get back to the car, now. We drove away from the bunker as fast as we could, leaving whatever was still alive down there yelling for help. My sister insisted on staying at my place for a few days. I didn't mind having her around. We shared an experience no one else could relate to, and we needed each other to overcome the trauma. It took a day for me to build up the courage to open Dad's journal. It began with his usual deranged conspiracy theories. I flipped past them. At the end, he had only made short notes. Found a hidden door. Deep pit. Possible the remains of some old black project. Eveline and Josh woke me up. A surprise visit. Didn't hear them enter. Strange. Had dinner with them. Something seems off. It isn't them. They tried to make me illegible. God help me. It isn't them. I shot the son of a bitch right between the eyes. Hiding in the bathroom now. This will probably be my last entry. God forgive me. Chills went down my spine as I read the last entry on the blood-drenched page. This is the last entry. I never got the other one. She's still out there somewhere. I only got one bullet left. I won't allow her to do that abhorrent thing to me. Forgive me. My sister has been cooking for hours. She just called for me from the kitchen. Josh, come here. I want to show you something. Wait a minute! That's why the body was naked, because she took her clothes. She twisted the creature twisted the sister's neck and like stripped her from the clothes, and now the sister, yeah, that's not his sister. That's not his sister. Okay. Ah. Oh, whoa. Okay. Yeah, that's not the sister. So you guys, this story was posted to Reddit No Sleep, but Odd Directions. And they have, it seems they have more posts, more stories. So yeah, they have a website. So please do check them out. Also, why? Okay, well, anyway. It's the other sister, sure. No, holy shit, the fuck, why? Seriously. Okay, that's it. I've had enough. I'm not gonna sleep tonight. But you guys, thank you for spending some time with me. Thank you for hanging out and listening to the scary stories. Yeah, none of us are gonna sleep. Good luck to you guys because it's nighttime for you. For me, at least for me here in Taiwan, it's still daytime. So I have a couple of hours to maybe recover from this. This is why you call the cops. This is why you call the authorities and don't go into a bunker or something. But then who was the sister? No, so it was like, I think it might be like, you know, like a doppelganger. What was it? What's the legend, like the kind of urban legend monster? Damn, I forgot the name. What is it? Like the one that replicates you, basically. Oh, Skinwalker. 4:40 a.m. Oh shit. Okay, Yusuf, go to sleep. Go to sleep. This was a comfy stream, comfy and terrifying, and yeah, I hope you guys can sleep. But I think it might have been a Skinwalker, and just, you know, while Josh was down the hallway, like, you know, investigating the bunker, and he told his sister to go back, you know, just exit the bunker. She got attacked and her neck was twisted. Then the creature stripped her off her clothes and yeah, pretended to be her. And that's it. Changeling, yeah, or Skinwalker. I think it's Skinwalker. This was a nice time, I'll admit that. Yeah. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope I didn't give you nightmares. Probably did, but it's okay. Well, I'm gonna have nightmares too, so we can have nightmares together. Okay, so as for tomorrow, I have a true crime stream on Patreon, same time, so 7 p.m. Pacific time. Then I will have a day off, and on Sunday, also at 7 p.m. Pacific time, there's gonna be a true crime stream here on YouTube, another unsolved case. A pretty big one that was, it's been loud about it like recently, in the light of the death of, you know, the Pope, the previous Pope, I guess, because it's the case of Emanuela Orlandi. That's what I can tell you guys. And yeah, and we will get into that deeper on Sunday. So remember, tomorrow, true crime stream on Patreon, Sunday, true crime stream on YouTube. I will see you guys next time. Stay safe out there. Always lock your doors and windows, bury your hexes, and until the next time. Bye.